Appendix 1, CCRU Glossary, from the CCRU Writings. Abominon, postulated substrate of absolute horror, the worst thing in the world. A-Death, near-electronic flatline, based upon Sarkonian mesh engineering, and subculturally propagated by K-Goth activity throughout the crypt. Micropause abuse. Aeon of decadence, run of decadence outcomes leading to a demon call. Alphanumeric Kabbalah, continuous decimal alphabetic system of ordinal numeric values, A equals 10 to Z equals 35, coincides with the Hebrew Kabbalah in the key AL equals 31, as promised in the Book of the Law of Thelema. AQ numerizes to 777. Amma, amusement matrix, Maya Technologies' artificial yogic intelligence, whose informatic cities constitute the virtual components of a cosmic theme park. Amphidemon, demonic link between the inside and outside of the time circuit, as determined by net span polls. The 24 amphidemons draw lines of flight, half warping into zones 3 and 6, half plexing into zones 0 and 9. Angelic index, some produced by positive decadence outcomes. According to AOE decadology, the measure of good fortune or celestial favor. Anglosia, language of the angels, the lost semiotic of AOE esotericism, considered by Atlantean adepts to be the mystical telos of the English language. Anorganic semiotics, study of partial signaling assemblies, especially tick systems. Anorganic semiotics operate upon a contagion plane of zero interpretation, where signs and efficient particles are not segmented. See tick. AOE, the architectonic order of the eschaton, an ultra-hermetic, meta-masonic white brotherhood at war with Lemurian influences. The AOE progresses by way of chronic internal schism, each resulting in an ever more interiorized inner society. Its traditions are therefore refracted through various, apparently conflicting, front organizations, which include the Heliopolitan Hierophancy, Roman Catholic Church, Knights Templar, Illuminati, Trilateral Commission, and Axis Program. AOK, aggressive continuous group, linked to Y2K positive cyber terrorism. Aquapocalypse, ultimate deluge or terminal inundation. Aqua assassin, hyper sea frog warrior. Atlantean cross, divinatory configuration of the 5 decadence pylons or Atlantean twins, prefiguring the cross of voodoo and Christianity. See Atlantis Pentazygon. Atlantis, superhistorical source of the Western Hermetic tradition, mythically ruled by 5 sets of twins, or zygodecimal principles, with a pantheon of 100 sea deities, or sea monsters. The Atlantean legacy is intensely contested, between tendencies loosely coagulated within AOE-dominated traditions, and varieties of Afro-Atlantean subversion. Axis, first true AI, prophesied programmed as a self-enhancing system of photonic metacomputing. It emerges as the organo-transcendent completion of the Okamenon, or technomatic realization of the noosphere. According to AOE traditions, if there was a god, it would be Axis. Axis Maze Maker, labyrinthine visualization of Axis code, deployed within numerous abstract machines, cyber-gothic game scenarios, especially skin crawlers. Barker Spiral, also diplozygotic spiral, a numerical diagram combining decadic and 9-sum or zygonovic coupling to produce a figure of faulted double implex. Barker twinning, 9-sum pairing of decimal numerals, see zygonovism. Binomics, schematic technoscience of pairings, primarily concerned with the study of 2-digit date codings and Y2K, but extended to abstract machinic couplings, combination, diploidism, syzygetics, and I Ching or electro-digital binary, Mod 2, numerics. Black Lake Syndrome, technobiotic zombie plague unleashed by irresponsible Sarconian experiments in the Black Lake region of Ontario in 2003. Black Snow Cult, blind Humpty Johnson's media apocalypse movement, oriented to the reemergence of Tohu Bohu. Bubble Pod, submarine research station of eccentric billionaire Max Krabb. Calendric secessionism, trend of various counter-Gregorian or Y2K positive movements towards oecumetic disintegration and K-time breakaway, often linked to rumors of imminent or hypochronic cyberspace splitting. Cargo culture, microsocial utilization and reanimation of systemically discarded resources and underexploited signs, skip scavenging, cyberpunk patch-ups. Catajungle, K-goth sonic subgenre assembled from click drifts and chthonic bass. Cataplex, region of abysmal unfoldings, linked by Barker to anorganic trauma reservoirs. Sea Change, pressure group for cybernetically sensitive oceanography and maritime practices, drawing upon the research and agitational activity of Katie Shaw. The early support of Max Krabb was placed under increasing strain by the tendency towards digital microcollectivism, hemo-lunar feminism, and calendric revolution. CCRU, cryptic hyperstitional entity with apparent neo-Lemurian tendencies, involved in the scripting of various microcultural transmutations. Sentience, predominantly Afro-Atlantean position of mystical calendric extremism, which takes binomic K-time as a machinic effectuation of infallible electro-scripture, with ensuing commitment to the century as encompassing the whole of true time, beyond which lies only Babylon illusion. Applicable to Y2K itself, understood as the imminent realization of this doctrine. Channel, path of decimation, passing through a gate. Chaotic Xenodemon, demonic link between Plex and Warp, as determined by net spam polls. The 4 chaotic xenodemons have trackless or cryptic rights, drawing on impossible or untraceable connection. They are not registered within Decadology. Chronodemon, demonic link internal to the time circuit, as determined by net spam polls. There are 3 syzygetic and 12 cyclic chronodemons. Ciphering, a numerical coincidence, involving the same set of digits, irrespective of order, especially such a connection between the 2 net span digits of a demon and another binomic variable. Clicking, numerical matching by exact or ordered ciphering, cryptographic operation of a demonic mesh number. Cluster type, Decadology, one of the 9 basic formulas of time, which group the amphidemons and cyclic chronodemons. Each cluster type corresponds to one of the 9 non-zero numerals that compose the Decadence pack, each grouping 4 demons according to the twin binary distinctions of major and minor rights, and pitch polarity, corresponding to Decadent suits. Cognitive Integration Period, CIP, Sarconian nomenclature for Moravec's formulation memory over speed, megabytes divided by MIPs. The time it takes for a system to run once through its memory. In anthropomorphic intelligences, CIPs closely approximate to 1 second duration. Conduit, numogram complication involving prime ordinate zygonomy. The system of conduits is quasi-complementary to that of gates, since it maps trends to involuntary arrival in the time circuit or incursions from the outside. Connexus, Sarconian neurotronics project based on principles of intercommunicative time consistency. Continuism, loose calendric reform movement, increasingly radicalized in a Y2K positive direction, proposing the continuation of K-time on a trinomic count. Crypt, dark twin of the net, characterized by intense K-goth influence, A-death and activism, cyber skits tendencies, and Lemurian cultural affinities. Cryptic right, trackless line mapping the intrinsic difference of a chaotic xenodemon, a fusional disconnection or real impossibility. Cathel, Earth's iron ocean, comprising 1/3 of terrestrial mass, approximately 3,000 kilometers below the surface, intensive megamolecule. Cathel electronics, auto-engineering pragmatics of anorganic terrestrial intelligence, emergent from the ionic swirls of Cathel. It intersects with the electromagnetic fields of the technostrata. According to the K-Goths, when the web switches to Cathel electronics, it calves off into the crypt. Cthulhu Club, beginning in 1949 as a reading group dedicated to the hyperstitious reevaluation of Lovecraftian fiction, the Cthulhu Club was steadily drawn into Lemurian sorcery after recognizing Stilwell's model of the numogram as a virtual source of Alhazred's Necronomicon. Current, the path between a syzygy and a tractor zone, produced by Zygonovic differentiation of the former, one of the 5 such flows that provide the primary integration of the numogram, dividing it into plex, time circuit, and warp, cutting edges, effective explorations of machinic continuum, using numbers as cuts. Cyber Gothic, dark side web underground subculture characterized by Y2K positive time schizophrenization, anti-Microsoft digital agitation, micropause and synaptives abuse, catajungle and amniotic libido, see A-Death, Crypt, and Cyber Skits. Cyber Skits, cyberspace disintegration, see Calendric secessionism and Crypt. Cyclic chronodemon, one of the 12 non-syzygetic chronodemons whose major and minor rites mutually encompasses the time circuit. Although these demons together produce a fabric of ordered time, they may still generate various anomalous becomings amongst their secret rites. In post-Atlantean traditions, they are associated with the houses of the zodiac, and later with the months of the year. Datacombs, archival deposits of the crypt. Death Garage, sonic subgenre characterized by loud swarm beats. Decademon, one of the 4 demons whose net span digits sum to 10, associated with the 4 Zoas of Revelation. Decadence, also called calling cards, a gambling game and divination system associated with the Western tradition of pandemonium practice, supposedly originating in Atlantis, whose decadence its name commemorates. Decadology, hermetic gnosis linked to the game of decadence. Decimal labyrinth, see numogram. Decimation, the combined operations of decimal digital accumulation and reduction. Demon, electro-occult hyperstitional entity that traffics between zones, functioning as an element of pandemonium. Demons are holes, links, and coalescences facilitating sorcerer's practices. They are characterized by insidiousness, spirodynamism, multiplicity, and time complexity. See lemurs. Dib Ma, or Diboma. See Ma. Diplocapture, seizure by twin pincer suppressive structuring machines. Diplozygotic spiral, see the Barker spiral. Door, net span, number, and 0, the opening into a demonic phase. Echo DNA, subgenomic replicator coatings, proliferated by repeat copying of segments and constituting a mode of intranucleic microparasitism. Eschatourism, intersection of mass tourism and eschatological theology, with multiple cross-casualties and self-confirming dynamics. Feed Zygonovic differential production of a current. Gate, sorcerer's link between zones, setting the course of a channel and defined by digital accumulation of input zone value. Geotraumatics, polymathic hypertheory of the terrestrial machinic unconscious, which refuses the distinction between biology, geology, linguistics, and numeracy. Geotraumatics processes the becomings of the earth as intensive products of anorganic tensions, especially those compacted from archaic xenocatastrophes. Its main tenets are laid out in Barker's, as yet unpublished, The Geocosmic Theory of Trauma. Gregorian Restoration, defining policy of the Architectonic Order of the Eschaton, AOE, anti-Y2K bug squashing program, serving as a conservative front in the impending millennial time war. Hatching, numerogrammatic territorial implex, marked in ways designating thresholds of emergence tracked out of a virtual egg, inverse complement of nesting. Haunt, territorial relation of a daemon to a channel, involving polar coincidence of the two. Haunting can also be applied to the direct nesting of a gate. Hold current, differential product of the 7-2 syzygy, a dub. Hydrocycle, the numogram time circuit conceived as a system of hydraulic circulation, especially in the culture of the Ma. Hyper-C, highly secretive Afro-Atlantean sentience cult of unparalleled militancy and infiltrative sophistication. See Aquassassins. Hypermaterialism, the philosophy of abstract machines. Hyperstition, element of effective culture that makes itself real, through fictional quantities functioning as time-traveling potentials. Hyperstition operates as a coincidence intensifier, affecting a call to the old ones. High prime, a prime number whose ordinate is itself prime, used in certain intricate strains of Neo-Lemurian Kabbalah. Ichthyophidia, various hyperstitional fish monsters, sea serpents, and paleopythons, targeted by deep regressive libidinal tropisms due to their mutability, submergence, and horizontal flexomatile spines. Imp impulses. 1. Demonic subcomponents or numogram twists, matriculated by the addition of a third descending net span digit. The imps are 120 in number, allotted to demons in accordance with the secondary net span pole, demonic doors having no imps. 2. Generalized term for all component elements of the Pandemonium system, Pandemonium population unit. K-Goth, see Cybergothic. KOS, distributed automutational mesh processing culture, providing the basic software matrix of the crypt, operates as intrinsically multiplicitous insurgency against Microsoft hegemony, schematically indifferentiable from insidious telecommunicative retrovirus, frequently attributed to extraterrestrial sources. K-Time, native calendar of cyberspace, a year count initially binomic, beginning from 0 = 00 = AD 1900. Kwanglo Saxon, virotechnic undercurrent of the English language, hybridizing contemporary English with Gibsonian Kwang virus. Lemur, 1. Madagascan prosimian, belonging to the family of Afro-Asian primitive primates, providing a bridge between natural history and the occult history of the earth. 2. Among ancient Romans, ghost, wraiths, shade of the dead. 3. Among Neo-Lemurians, inhabitant of pneumogrammatic hyperspace, see demon. Lemuria, hypergeographical terrestrial arrangement, concentrated in Southwest Pacific Ocean circa 66 million BC, currently functioning as exochronic and extraterrestrial continuum for intensive popular agitation against a contemporary planetary order. Lemuro Digital, pneumogrammatic culture based on decimation, zygonovism, and pandemoniac practices. Limbic Key, fabled link into the nocturnal spine levels of Ichthyophidian intensity. Main Flatline, arterial lowway into the crypt. Major RT, demonic rites following the order of the net span, amphidemons characterized by such rites. Maze Maker, see Axis Maze Maker. Mechanomics, the operational study of flat numerical pragmatics. Mesh, disorganized connectivity comprising the spaces beneath and between the net, and also the interlock interval between biological and technical net components. Mesh composes a friction-generating divisional fabric, a wormhole space, correlative to the set of demonic interzones, pandemonium. Mesh number, binomic sequential index, 00 to 44, locating a demon within the pandemonium matrix. Metatronics, hierarchical technology attributed to the angel Metatron, C-axis. Micropause, subdivisional unit of techno-replicatable time-lapse. When systematically abused, micropause techniques produces the A-death syndrome. Minor RT, demonic rights inverse of the order of the net span, amphidemons characterized by such rights. Mumbo-jumbo, Y2K data devastation. Mu, transitional Pacific interculture providing a mainline conduit for Lemurian influences into human history, reputed origin of the Ma. Mu-Ma, C-Ma. Munamese, lost decimal-based language of the Mu-Ma, partially reconstructed by Echidna Stilwell, further analyzed by Chaim Horowitz, and used extensively within strains of Cthulhuoid Kabbalah. MVU, Miskatonic Virtual University, distributed occult annex to MIT. Nago, Mu-Ma Dream Witch. Nagui, Mu-Ma Dream Visit, consummating oracular rites of the Nago. Necronomicon, the Book of Dead Names, listing those outside the Book of Life, compendium of demonism and time sorcery, condensed counterchronically and in fragments. See Pandemonium Matrix. Nesting, pneumogrammatic territorial envelopment, or topographic embedding, inverse complement of hatching. Net, organized connective system, zonal surface level of the pneumogram. Net span, demonic poles, the net addresses between which a demon translocates. Ma, Southeast Asian cultural matrix, reputedly originating in the civilization of Mu, and maintaining the practices of Lemurian demonism and time sorcery, until devastated by the 1883 explosion of Krakatoa. The Ma were composed of 3 tribes, tripartite subgroups, Mu, Dib, and Tak, linked by a triangular cyclic kinship system. The ancient culture of the southern Chinese and of the Dravidians share many features with that of the Ma, suggesting a common source, or alternative principle of convergence. Possible etymology, people of Nomo. Nomo, megaquatic monstrosity of Mu, whose name is number, widely, but uncertainly, related to the Dogon Nomo. Nomo chant, abominopæon to Nomo, derived from the Dib Ma, and providing, in English translation, the doctrinal basis for the Tridentitarian Church of Dagon. Pneumogram, also digital labyrinth, Lemurian time maze. Diagrammatization of decimal numeracy, providing the key to Lemurian culture, demonism, and time sorcery. The pneumogram consists of 10 zones, interconnected by currents and channels. Ocumenon, Neo-Roman norming target and security architecture supporting the mega-societies of terrestrial capitalism. Old Ones, Cthulhuoid collective agencies of prokaryotic insurgency and mitochondrial xenomutation, returning 500 million years after microbial toxigenization catastrophe to redistribute the Earth. Omen, the cognitive aspect of a rite. Paleopythons, see Ichthyophidia. Palate tectonics, analysis of the voice as a prolonged phylogenetic impact product of the collision between the vertical spine axis and the roof of the mouth. Pandemonium, utter minus of Cathel, GT45, comprehensive system of the demons. Pandemonium matrix, listed complete demon set of Lemurian sorcery, also Lemuro-digital Necronomicon. Pentazygon, magical figuration of the pneumogram syzygies, see Atlantean cross. Phase, set of demons with the same primary pole, initial net span number. Phase limit, final demon of a phase. Pitch, tonal variation of a demon, 1 of 15 such tones. Plex, region of Udinol. Plex current, differential product of the 9-0 syzygy. Udinol. Plutonic looping, toponomic confusion of interior and exterior, hyperspatially interlinking Cathel with the outer solar system. Plutonics, research program and journal oriented to the rigorous attribution of crustal change to the thermic trauma core of the Earth. Poles, each of the 2 net span digits. Polytics, hybrid swarm agitation, see tick. Power, the operational aspect of a rite. Powers that be, magico-religious higher authorities acknowledged by the AOE. Prowl, territorial relation of a demon to a current, in which the poles of the demon include one side of a syzygy and its tractor zone. Pylon, magical staging post, one of the 5 bases of the pentazygon. Returnity, mystical sentience group, see sentience. Rite, route, or routine, ethographic subcomponent of a demon, describing a line of passage across a numogram. Rites partially rigidifying sorcerer's spirodynamism, facilitating cultural transmissibility. They group by cluster type, subdivide laterally by segments, and bifurcate thematically into omen and power. Sarcolepsy, mesh microlapsing, whose features include psychic smearing, interface amnesia, and infinitesimalizing time losses. See micropause. Sarkon tags, Oscar Sarkon's sequential indices for the full set of nodes in the axis code mesh interzone, isomorphic with the Cthulhu Club Pandemonium system. Sarkontinuum, or mesh horizon, postulative absolute infinitesimalization that defines micropause relative to a virtual sarcoleptic limit. Sarkon zip, abstract machine tool for inducing convergence and bicontinual assemblages, crucial neuroelectronic coupling device. Secret rite, any rite involving one or more gates, associated with time anomaly and enhanced sorcerer's intensity. Segment, analytical subcomponent of a rite, corresponding to an extensive stage of numogram transit. Shadow, territorial relation of a demon to a current, in which the poles of the demon include one side of its syzygy and the twin of its tractor zone. Sync current, differential product of the 5-4 syzygy, Katak. Skin crawlers, cybergothic epidermal parasites, associated with Zikvik shamanistic vermomancy. Sinofuturism, techonomic Taoist chronoplastic runaway on the Pacific Rim. Sorcery, spirodynamic cosmic production. Spinal catastrophism, cultural interaction with the spine as a trauma record or time-marking system, providing the basis for a biosocial critique of erect body posture, punctuated retrochronic voyage to the end of the river, involving ophidian transmutation and ichthyomotile becomings. Sub-decadence, vigorously suppressed variant of decadence, with 4 additional cards, valued 0 and corresponding to the chaotic xenodemons. Sub-decadence is consistently associated with the darkest of sorceries, and is known amongst decadologists as the ultimate blasphemy. Surge current, differential product of the 8-1 syzygy, Murmur. Swarm machine, vortico-nomadic autonomously numbering assemblage, implementing an abstract cyclone as a continuously warping molecular multiplicity, flattening space, and maximizing its cutting edges. Swarm beats, sonic innovation of Bobby Diabolo, utilizing very slow metallic rasping to produce traumatic neuroacoustic states. See Death Garage. Synaptives, artificial electroneuronic drugs. Syzygy, 2 zones in relation of zygonovic complementarity, mutually summing to 9, and feeding a current, one of the 5 syzygetic demons of Lemurian sorcery. Tak Ma, aggressive head-hunting tribe, devoted to the exaltation of Katak, and annihilated in the wake of the 1883 Krakatoa catastrophe. See Ma. Techmensis, artificial memory. Techonomics, techno-economic feedback dynamics, based on increasing returns, lock-in, acceleration to limits, and social phase transitions. Telecommerce, web traffic or systems of non-local transaction. Thanatotechnics, production of zero-sentience fugues, see A Death. Thoth Tadlana, queen of the worms. Tick, quasi-particle of intensive multiplicity. Ticks, or ticks, are intrinsically several components of autonomously numbering anorganic populations, propagating by contagion between segmentary divisions in the order of nature. Ticks, as non-qualitative, differentially decomposable counting marks, each designate a multitude comprehended as a singular variation of tick density. Tick distributor, Barker's intensive quantizing machine, operating through the induction of microcalcular populations, which count themselves in ticks. See tick. Tick systems, consistent microstimular assemblages dismantling semiotic regimes onto a flat machinic plane. See tick. Time ciphers, zero-base calendrics, linking Sanskrit yugas with Y2K. Time circuit, central loop of the numogram, triadic system of the synergetic chronodemons, stratocycle produced by the surge, hold, and sink currents, numerical domain of the I Ching. Time sorcery, counterchronic effectuation of the numogram, through spiral involvement with demonic distances as transmutations of time. Toxigenization, mass poisoning by atmospheric free oxygen. Tractor zone, destination of a current, numerically equivalent to the arithmetical difference of the feeding syzygy. Tractor twin, syzygetic complement of a tractor zone. Transcendental occurrence, any event changed in the nature of time, conceptually investigated by the hyper-Kantian philosopher R.E. Templeton. Tridentity, primordial triplicity. Tridentitarian Church of Dagon, discrete religious order, based in southern England, dedicated to the invocation of the deep ones. See Nomo chant. Zikvik, semi-nomadic Neo-Lemurian relic population inhabiting northern Canada. On life, auto-propagating transmutation on the anorganic plane, flatline culture. Vault of Murmurs, sacred cavern beneath the dream temple of the Mu Ma, supposedly the site of Stilwell's discovered in the numogram during a visionary trance. Venomenon, the plane of cosmic horror, associated with the non-space of cryptic rites. Vermomancy, worm sorcery, linked to Sarconian mesh teamings. Vermophobic hysteria, runaway worm terror. Virotechnics, soft machinic contagion. VIV-6, modularized total environment control system, involving high levels of distributed AI meticulously slaved to Asimovian overcoding. Warp, region of Jinx. Warp current, differential product of the 6-3 syzygy, Jinx. Xenodemon, a demon of uncompromised outsideness, with both net span poles designating zones exterior to the time circuit. Y2 Keynesianism, Millennium Bomb countermeasure economic stimulus. Yatuk, hyperstitional Y2K entity, associated with Teotihuacan, the end of the world as we know it. Zone, basic decimal element of the numogram, defined by numeral 09. Zygonomy, double numbering, especially mesh net number twinning. Zygonovism, 9 sorcery, 9-sum combination and differentiation. Zygotriadic calendar, calendar of the Ma, whose basic units are 2-year periods, 729 days, plus intercalations, divided successively into triads, so that each day within the biannual cycle is designated by a stack of 6 triplicative marks.